party people? This is part 2 of my interview with Ari Lehman, the first and original Jason from Friday the 13th. Hello. Hello. Party people.
Today, we are talking about Friday, the 13th, and we have with us today the original Jason, the one and only, Ari Lehman!
Hey everybody, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. Of course, I was the boy in the lake. I am honored that now there are about 15 actors who have played Jason Voorhees. I'm the first. I am the very first from the first movie, The Boy in the Lake. That's me. Hi, MC Popsicle. How are you, brother?
How long were you in makeup?
Oh yeah, good question. It took about 4.5 hours to put it on. Okay, it took like 4 months for us to create the whole thing. There's a prosthetic, so I had to sit for a molding. They cast your whole head, you're breathing through straws, and then there's fake teeth. There was a glass eye. So ultimately, it would take about 4.5 hours to put it on. But you know, I had fun the whole time because I was a kid and I was having fun. And Tom Savini and his assistant Tasso Stavrakis were just renowned for being like the Cheech and Chong kind of effects, because, or maybe they were very funny. They were hilarious. So, you know, we had a great time together. I mean, there was a lot of hard work, and when it was time to work, you know, we would do the work, but then, you know, we were staying at the camp. So when it was a wrap, you know, we would all go swimming and have a good time. And I was like the only kid on a summer camp. So I had a lot of fun. And in fact, last August and in the near future, I have been invited to do the Crystal Lake tours. Okay. Ooh. And Crystal Lake tours, if you ever get a chance, and you go to the actual location, the actual lake, the actual cabins, the shower where, you know, the young girl played by Janine was killed, and all these different, you know, actual places. And then you watch Friday the 13th on the beach. All the proceeds, by the way, go to a charity to help kids go to summer camp. Like 1,000 kids to go to camp every year because of those tours. And the tours, they just ended the spring tours, but there's more coming up in August. So everybody check that out, Crystal Lake Tours.
Cool. I was gonna ask you, where is Crystal Lake?
Oh, yes, that's important. It's in Hardwick, New Jersey, which is it's not too far from New York City. It's not too far from Philadelphia. You know, it's called the Delaware Water Gap over there. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of New Jersey, which I know many people don't have that image of New Jersey, but this is really, it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. And every horror fan, and especially Friday the 13th fans, should get an opportunity. You should go too.
Yeah, I want to go. Like, that would be very cool. It looks warm there, so New Jersey doesn't say New Jersey when you look at the movie. It looks like kind of warm a little bit.
Yeah, most of it was shot in August of 1979, and that was a hot summer, man.
Ooh.
That was a hot summer. The people there were happy to be. Most of them lived in New York City, And they kept telling me, man, it was so hot in New York. I'm so happy to be, they were happy to be out of the city, you know, up where they could get some fresh air. And they were all, I benefited from them being cool New York, because they would be like, Ari, they had 8-track tapes, okay? And they would sit me in a pickup truck and they would say, Ari, okay, check out this band. They would put on like the Ramones, okay? Or they would put on, Patti Smith. They wanted me to hear Patti Smith. And they wanted me to hear Crystals. And they wanted me to hear, you know, Bad Brains and all that music that they were listening to, because they all lived in New York at that time. So that was a cool experience for me. Because, you know, there's a lot of off time when you're on the set, and they knew I was a musician. So they, you know, that was fun.
How long have you had your band?
Well, thank you. First Jason, we put out our first album in 2009. Now I have been working in, after I did Friday the 13th, I went to college and everything, and I was studying like to be a jazz piano player, okay?
Oh.
But then, you know, I wanted to do like jazz, you know, but I was into like, you know, real traditional jazz. But then like the kind of like Kenny G style jazz came out, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, because I had long hair, everybody was like, oh, you can do that like Kenny G style jazz. And I was like, no, man, I'm into this like, you know, Miles Davis, Cutting Edge. And they were like, Kenny G. So I was like, oh man, you know. So I started working in world music, okay? Like African music, reggae music. That was very big in the 90s. So I ended up working Scope Records and Tough Gong Records as a keyboardist for band. And I actually got to tour, and I did a lot of that stuff. So I was into reggae, okay? And then all of a sudden, somebody wrote me a letter saying, did you autograph this picture of little Jason? And I was like, what? You know, I've never signed an autograph. And they said, because someone just charged me $50 for this on eBay. So I said, huh. Sure enough, somebody was forging my autograph.
Wow.
Anyway, long story short, I went to a convention and I met everybody and I said, see, I play reggae music. And they were like, yeah, that's cool, but you know, horror fans love metal and punk. So, you know, I thought for a while, you know, I said I should do a punk or metal project. And that's how First Jason began. I benefited from when I was in college, I was friends with the lead singer from Reagan Youth, which is a really cool punk band, and they're still around. They're unfortunately my buddy passed away a long time ago, but he wanted to learn about jazz and I wanted to learn about punk, so he would take me to CBGBs, and I saw Bad Brains and I saw, you know, Ramones. Again, you know, I saw these bands live.
Wow, that must have been so crazy. I would die if I got to see that. Like that, see, we have a lot in common, believe it or not. I used to be in a bunch of punk bands, like, but I'm in the South, so our paths would never cross. But I was in a bunch of punk bands when I was younger, and then I actually was just in a horror movie called Tad Caldwell and the Monster Kid. It's not out yet, but I play this deformed mutant kid that gets abducted by aliens. Well, he's a normal kid, then he gets abducted by aliens, and they do all these experiments on him, and he's gone for 20 years. And when he comes back down to Earth, he's all deformed, and I had to do prosthetics and all this kind of stuff. So I was gonna ask you something about your prosthetics in the movie, because when I had to do the thing where they put your whole face in the cast and everything, and they put the straws up your nose, and it kind of like, kind of lulled me to sleep, Do you remember having that feeling? Like a fainting feeling, but it was like a calm faint, kind of. It like slowly, it's like the light slowly dimmed off, kind of, for me, and I had to like tap myself so that I wouldn't pass out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I was a little kid. I do remember it does put you in a kind of a trance, but like the first time we did it, it was alginate they were using. Okay, so first time they did it, there was so much joking around that I had been laughing, and you could see like a smile on little Jason's face. So they said, we can't use this. So this is a true story. The second time, Tom put on a record so I could just, kind of zone out and sit still, because I was a little kid, so I was fidgety. So he put on Jim Morrison and the Doors. People are strange when you're a stranger. And I was like transfixed. So I listened to that whole album, and that's how, But no, I remember it as being a unique experience. Maybe I just had so much jumpy energy. I didn't go into the meditation, but I do remember when they left. They said, okay. They had a barber chair, and I actually saw this room again recently. There's a mirror, and they just turned me around, okay? I had my eyes closed, and they left the studio, and they said, open your eyes, and boom, there was little Jason. Wow, man, that was crazy. That feeling, it just was like goosebumps. I was like, who's that? And I realized it was me.
Yeah, that was so good. Like I looked at a lot of like close-ups and stuff of the makeup and everything, and that was really impressive. Like that was very, very cool. Like very good. I think
Tom did an amazing job, and they all worked together to try to make it like they did a version which at first they thought people would be too sympathetic towards. So it's kind of, they wanted to have a balance. And that's the thing about the Jason character, even to this day, people, they know he's a terrible killer, but they still kind of feel sorry for him,
Yeah, because you feel like he definitely got mistreated, but at the same time, he does kill all these people, but also it's like, you don't know if he's like mentally there, obviously not, but like, you don't know if he can help it, kind of, almost in a way,
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Is it something he can't overcome? And I think it's important. It's different than, let's say, a Vader or Michael Myers even, or certainly Freddy or Leatherface. It's unique. It's kind of similar to Frankenstein's monster in a way, but I think the crucial thing is we can relate to Jason on a lot of levels. Just like, sure, Mama Voorhees is a killer, she's a killer, but we to her and mother relate to her, and I think everybody can relate to her on that kind of thicker than water kind of thing. So, obviously totally crazy nut job, right? But villain that we have this odd ability to kind of relate to, which appeals to the fans. If it's the fans that keep Jason alive, man, let's face it.
Yeah, I was reading about it. It's
not for the fans.
Sorry, I was reading about just kind of general history about the movie and stuff like that, and it's crazy how big Jason is. Like, biggest horror franchise of all time. You could show a hockey mask to basically anybody on Earth and say, who is this? And they would know. Like, I mean, it's almost like Coca-Cola or like Bugs Bunny or something, like Jason. And also it's like, it's the mask and the suit and everything. It's like simple, but it's super iconic. So it's like everybody on Earth knows about it. And it's so crazy to me. I was gonna, also, the budget for the first one, it was like $550,000, I believe, for the entire movie. And then now they've made over $550 million or something like that. That is crazy. Like, that blew my mind. This must have been a ride for you. Because starting out, I mean, I would imagine, I mean, you knew if it was good or not, I would imagine. But I mean, I've been in some movies and you really don't know if it's gonna be good. You can judge what you see of it, but you don't know if the people are idiots or like if they know what they're doing, or, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of like, this part looks good. Like you're kind of gathering like, okay, this seems all right. Tom Savini's good, that's something. And you're like piecing it together. But like, you got so like just jettisoned into space from this, and it's so crazy. Like, what was that like going from, I don't know if this is even gonna be anything, to the most famous movie monster in the history of the earth? Like what, or when did you know that happened? Like when did you realize, oh, this is insane?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. It's a great question. And I think that it really speaks to a very contemporary issue. It's, yes, we love a great monster, you know. We went through the 70s and they had The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby and The Omen and The Damien, and it's all about, and you know, the underworld and sin and retribution. And you know, guys just wanted to take a girl on a date and go see a horror movie and come home and, you know, get a little attention. They don't want to have to go home and think about like hell and like, you know what I'm saying? And then there was Jaws. Okay, Jaws came in and reminded us, oh, a monster. We love this. This is great. Bikinis, monsters. You see? So that's what see, Friday the 13th is kind of like, you know, Jaws in the woods, if you will. It's that fun monster movie, but for some reason, it just appealed to the fans so much. And I insist that, especially because you look at it this way, Popsicle, okay, check it out. Every time Friday the 13th was released, it was a different production team, okay? Sean actually sold the rights to Steve Miner, who did part 2, 3. They had produced it together, but he was unsure of what was going to happen. Came back on board as a director, or well, not actually director, but associate producer in part 4, and had more influence then. But so, in other words, it was the fans. It was the fans that determined the success of Friday the 13th, and it is the fans that will continue to determine the success of Friday the 13th. And you look at it nowadays, like here we are, we're talking online to each other in a way that's accessible to the fans, right? Where we open up this discussion to the fans, okay? This wasn't even possible back then. But I think that we've all realized what it is, if you will, and you know, I'll ask you if you agree, that what we are actually selling, or what are we doing as entertainers now? Certainly that direct interaction with the fans, you know, is so crucial, and having is so precious. I mean, because fans don't know us anything. I mean, let's face it, they're going to put time and money into what you produce as an artist. We should be giving to them. You know what I'm saying? And the more that happens, the more real this whole thing is. So look at Friday the 13th. It's like a direct message. It's like if the fans love something, if the fans love a character, then that character will, I mean, actually become, as you said, an icon. Certainly, yes, in you know, in the big Jason form. But you look at it there. There's even religious characters where they say there's the baby version and there's the big version, you know, baby Buddha and big fat Buddha. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of mind blower. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I think that it's in the imagination of the fans, and it's unstoppable.
And that's about it for this week. But next week we're doing part
3.
We're getting back with Ari. Hit up Ari on Instagram. Here's his tag. Make sure to follow him. Also, shout out to my sponsors, 1428 Nightmare Studios. They make horror collectibles like this boy. Amazing. Also, Accent Blaster made my shirt. Follow them on Instagram. If you want sunglasses like the ones I got on the show, then hit up Filthy Shades. They have beautiful sunglasses. You'll love them, I promise. Also, Made Man sponsored this episode, and they're skincare for men, so make sure to look them up. Also, StickerYeti.com. They make stickers. They made mine. They'll make some for you. Great work, people. And Stay in Motion Skateboards. They sent me a few of these. They are amazing. Hit them up. Also, last but not least, Emerald Coast Pools. If you need a pool fixed in the Gulf Coast area, they will hook you up. Thank you guys. Make sure to stay tuned next week. I love ya.